You are tuned in to the hippest radio station in the Tri-Cities area. This is 103.5 WAWL, Walk the Beat Radio. I'm your host for today, Elijah Russ, and I'm here with Christopher Cordle. How's it going, man?
Oh, it's doing great.
Cool. Before we get started real quick, I'd like to thank our underwriters for today. Big Signs, Quality Hardwood Flooring, Ricinga Building Center, and DeBoer Bauman and Company. So thank you guys very much.
Big Signs is a sponsor?
Yeah.
That's where I make my bread.
Right on. They gave us your name, and I've actually, that was what gave me the idea to ask you to come in, but I've heard your name around town and stuff too. You know, just playing around different places, you know.
I've been around a while.
You hear of who's around and stuff. That's cool. So tell me about where you're at right now, I guess. I mean, you have a couple albums out, I saw.
Actually, I have 3 out. But, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. The newest album that I have available is from 2008. It was nominated for a Jammy.
Nice.
And right after that album came out, I ended up joining a band with my family called Yard Sale Underwear.
Very nice.
And so I went on like a 7-year tear with that.
Wow.
And just recently, it's probably been, 2 years, I think, since I've been in that band. Then I got back to what I like to do, writing my own stuff and, stockpiling some songs. And
for sure. Just kind of picking out the best of them, making records and doing all that.
And trying to get my foot back in the door of playing the original shows.
Yeah.
They're a lot tougher to come by in West Michigan.
They are.
Get over in Grand Rapids, there's some more opportunities, but...
Yeah, so like speakeasy kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All that. That's really cool.
I've most recently, I kind of put a stop to doing the 3-hour cover tune shows.
I understand that. I mean, I didn't do that for super long, but it didn't take me long to figure out that that's not what I wanted to do all the time, you know? You know,
the extra money was nice, but playing for people who are eating and talking and...
Don't care.
That's not why I play music.
Absolutely.
And that's not why I write.
Yep.
There's a lot of people who like to do that sort of thing. It's not for me.
Yeah, who are like, I mean, and that's cool. Like, you know, my dad does that thing, and he's like a real entertainer. I mean, a great musician too, but like, you know, remembers everybody's names when they come in the door and like all that stuff, and is very interactive. And a lot of us artists aren't so much like that, you know. I mean, we put everything into our music, expecting that to be like heard, you know, and be understood through that. You know, so when you're in an environment like that, it's kind of uncomfortable to have to, you know, grab that attention, you know, and that be a part of what you're getting paid to do, I suppose. You know?
Me and my dad have had this conversation a lot too about that there's a line between artist and entertainer. Sometimes people are both.
Yeah.
But not all.
And it's good. I mean, it's cool if you're both, but it's cool to be one or the other too.
Right.
You know, I think there's a lot to gather from people who are just one or the other, you know. I think if you're really listening, like somebody who it almost takes somebody who makes music or has like been around it their whole lives or whatever to really appreciate somebody just being in a bar and taking the extra minute to be like, shh, I want to listen for a second to the people you're sitting with, you know. Hoping to change that mentality a little bit though, you know. But I think it is, you know, we talked a little bit before about like, you know, Watermark 920 being open. There's lots of different venues popping up in West Michigan. It is getting a lot better, you know. And
the breweries were kind of a nice foot in the door, but it didn't take long till you were right back to it's packed with people not listening.
Yep. But I don't, you know, it's how things are promoted too, though. You know, if bands are really out there like pushing to get a crowd in there and make a night of it and all that, then it tends to be a little bit more in their favor as far as people listening and all that goes. But, you know, if you just like signed up for a gig at like the Highway or whatever, you know, people have their routines in there and all that. So it's strange trying to get people to listen nowadays.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm kind of hoping with this new record to push again and maybe try to get somebody in my corner who can get me some opening gigs and just try to reestablish myself again.
That'll be cool. Right on. So all the songs that you have now, you said the latest one was 2008?
Yes.
Cool. So these are timed songs a little bit, you know.
I try to write so they're not in a time period.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to write my songs to where the listener can put their experience into the song.
Cool. Very nice. So which one are we doing first again?
I think Seasons, Friends,
Seasons,
and Lovers
Friends,
is the
and
first song.
And that's not your most recent album?
That is my most recent album.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Right
And
on.
I thought the song was fitting for today.
Yeah. So that's the title track
Yes.
of the album, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Well, we'll check that out real quick and get back to it.
Sounds good.
Blue, Seasons, Friends, and Lovers by Christopher Cordle. Take it away.
Where is the sun? Where are the signs of spring? Here in this hour, leaves have covered everything. The summer fades away. Seasons, friends, and lovers cannot make them stay. Winter's on its way. Where are the flowers? Where are the signs of May? Here in this hour, frost has covered up the day. The summer fades away. Seasons, friends, and lovers cannot make them stay. Winter's on its way. Wanna find a peace within, changing of the colors. I wanna find, I still believe, the promise of the summer when winter's on its way. Winter's on its way. Where are the friends? What has this day become? Here in this hour, snow has covered everyone. The summer fades away. Seasons, friends, and lovers, we cannot make them stay. Winter's on its way. Wanna find a peace within, changing of the colors. I wanna find, I still believe, in the hearts of others when winter's on its way. Winter's on its way.
You are tuned in to the hippest radio station in the Tri-Cities area. This is Walk the Beat Radio on 103.5 WAWL. If you're just joining us for today, I'm your host, Elijah Russ, and I'm here with Christopher Cordle. Before we get started, we have a few people to thank, our underwriters. Today it's Big Signs, Quality Hardwood Flooring, Ricinga Building Center, and DeBoer Bauman and Company. So thank you guys very much for making this possible. Cool. That was Seasons, Friends, and Lovers. That was a nice song, man.
Thank you very much.
Title track of your latest record. Came out a little while ago, but you have some stuff in the works.
You might have been a little young when that came out.
Yeah, what was it? Probably 13. Yeah, I'm a little baby.
Yeah.
But that's cool, man. So what are your plans, like, more specifically for the future? I know you talked a little bit about wanting to get out and do more original shows and all that, but how exactly are you going about that? We're kind of gearing this towards people who might want to do the same thing one day.
I think the first thing to focus on is getting my new music out, and just to keep networking and meeting great people like you guys, and hopefully you find that one person who really likes what you're doing and invites you to some of these events.
Yeah. Yep. Well, definitely.
Like Hoxeyville and what's the Earthworks music? The
Harvest Gathering and all that
Yeah, they
stuff.
all have these shows that feature all Michigan artists. Be nice to be invited.
Absolutely. Yep. And it really is, I mean, just getting out and playing a lot right now, you know. At least that's what I've noticed. A lot of people that are doing those circuits and all that are just out constantly promoting themselves through live shows, you know. So that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that you're wanting to get back to it. It's nice.
Yeah, a lot of those people, that's their job though, is just being a troubadour.
Yeah.
And I'm at the stage of my life where it would have to be a pretty good deal for me to just jump in and go do that.
I mean, you have like a career and like a house, I'm sure, and insurance and, you know, security.
We'll use the word career lightly, but I do have children to take care of in a house. And
Yep. So it's kind of hard to just drop everything and go.
It'd have to be lucrative.
Yeah, but there are ways to do it though, I'm sure, you know. And you're happy doing what you're doing though, right? Well, let's talk about that then, all right.
My career?
Not music-wise.
Music-wise? Music is a little stale for me right now with opportunities.
Okay.
So that's why I'm concentrating on recording. Career-wise, I went to school to be a graphic designer, but what I'm doing isn't that exciting.
Just pays bills right now.
Yeah, some of the side stuff I do though is exciting. I did all the design work for the coffee factory in Muskegon. I don't know if you noticed that big mural on the side of the Shaw Walker building that's like a zipper coming down. That's like the biggest piece of art I ever did. I think it's...
Oh, you do murals and stuff? That's pretty cool.
I think it's, 2 or 3 stories high.
So you're the one that goes out and like does all the actual, like for Big Signs or whatever? You go out and do the actual like drawing or painting or however you guys
It's all
do
done on computer. Yeah, that's what I do.
That's pretty cool, man. That's really cool.
It's cool when you see it. Like you catch something on TV or something, because we do like football stadiums, a lot of NCAA.
That's really cool.
High school. Some semi-pro stuff, baseball, hockey.
That's really cool. So yeah, that's kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Well, music has its spot though for you, for sure.
I think one art feeds the other too.
Yeah.
I have to always be creative if I'm...
Yeah, that's a good point too. I mean, like if you're doing music all the time, I don't know, I think that's hard. Like I can't do music 100% of the time. I need like a mental break and like a change, you know, so you can think about it in different ways. I think it would be monotonous like anything else if you just did that one thing all the time, you know.
Yeah, at work sometimes doing graphic design too, we'll put on like some comedy relief or something, and there was a couple times early on when the boss would get mad, and I'm not paying you to do that, and it's like, we need to.
Yeah.
You can't just be creative 100%.
Right.
Got to have that outlet.
That's cool. So you're finding ways to be creative then in your life.
I have to be. even at home, I have a project I have to do. Build something, go down to the wood shop, build guitars.
That's cool.
I illustrate, draw, paint.
So what are you thinking about, like, while you're doing all that stuff? Is music, like, on your mind 100% of the time or most of the time, you know?
When I'm doing other things?
Yeah.
No. Whatever I'm doing is what my mind's on.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's how you lose fingers and...
Well, that's true. You know what I meant. But just like how you mentioned they feed into one another, you know.
I think just keeping that creative spark going helps you, so when you come back to your music, you're still creative. You're not like in some slump where, geez, I've done nothing but watch sitcoms for 3 days.
Right.
I'm dead.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's really interesting because everybody thinks about it differently. You know, like when I'm working or doing like other things that aren't music related, something will pop up, you know, and I have to take a second from whatever I'm doing to go write it down or record a quick lick or whatever, and just making sure that, you know, guitars are around or pens and paper are around, you know.
Yeah.
It's nice having cell phones now to record everything on, so that's cool. But
I'm a little old to be that tech savvy.
It really does, you know, if you use those things right, it's pretty cool.
I still have notepads and pens and...
Yeah, well, me too. There's something romantic about writing by candlelight and all that. I love that stuff too, don't get me wrong, but integrating technology is pretty cool as well.
I just borrowed a Zoom recorder from a buddy of mine.
Oh, those are pretty cool.
Just sat it up, captured my ideas, and...
Yeah.
Because I wanted to start handing out the basic rough ideas to my new songs to bring other musicians in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I figured that was the best way to do it.
Yep. And that's why I use my stuff too, is just to then go back later, develop it, you know, do demos on the computer or whatever and send them out. Like, what can we do with this? So that's cool. Right on. Well, let's get on to another song.
Absolutely.
All right. I have my little list here. It's off of the same album, Seasons, Friends, and Lovers, and this is called Ain't Life Strange?
Yes.
All right, cool. You want to give us a little rundown?
Sure. It's kind of just about when you get in the rut of the mundane things, getting up and going to work, and something that everyone can associate with. And you realize there probably is no great big prize at the end of the rainbow. It's getting up and going back and doing the same thing again the next day.
Yeah. Right on. All right. Well, this is Ain't Life Strange by Christopher Cordle. Blue, take it away.
Greet the morning with my eyes. From day to day it brings no surprise. Awaken, my dream dies. Love to crawl back into bed. But these days consume my head. I'm prepared for what's to come. Every day I feel a little more numb, but it don't mean that much to me. It just makes me see things are never going to change. Ain't life strange? On and on that same old way. No price to cash, just bills to pay. I'll dream another day. I'd love to find some time for a friend, but these days don't seem to end. I'm prepared for what's to come. Every day I feel a little more numb, but it don't mean just makes me see things are never going to change. Ain't life strange? Face is growing thin, but I'll wear it with a grin. Greet the evening with a sigh. The moonlight sings the day goodnight. It ain't no lullaby. I'd love to find some time instead. Crawl back into bed. I'm prepared for what's to come. Every day I feel a little more numb, but it don't mean that much to me. It just makes me see things are never going to change. Ain't life strange?
You are tuned into the hippest radio station in the Tri-Cities area. This is Walk the Beat Radio on 103.5 WAWL. If you're just joining us, I'm your host for today, Elijah Russ, and I'm here with Christopher Cordle, who's been bringing us awesome music today. Before we get started, I'd like to thank our underwriters, Big Signs, DeBoer Bauman & Company, Ricinga Building Center, and Quality Hardwood Floor Installation. Thank you guys very much. So, another great song.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, kind of sad, but it's good.
Yeah, you won't find
it's
a lot of
relatable though.
You won't find a lot of happy songs on my albums.
That's all right though. Write about whatever you need to.
Yeah.
Does it help though? Writing about that stuff just kind of is it
I
a
would say
constant reminder? Is it like a coping mechanism?
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never sat down and psycho-examined myself.
Here we go. Welcome.
I would say it's therapy for getting some of the darkness out of your soul.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think to be able to write those songs, you have to allow yourself to dangle in the darkness.
Yeah, and feel it, I mean, you do anyways, but to really put it into words, I think is...
Yeah, to embrace it. And
yeah, that's pretty cool though. It does help, I think as you're singing it, you start to think about all the good things that are going on too,
I think it's like a bad relationship. You already had to go through it, so you might as well get a song out of it.
There you go. Bright side.
Yeah.
That's cool. So for those of you just joining us, this is Christopher Cordle. I'm Elijah Russ. Give us some background as to why you wrote that song. Was there a moment?
Actually, that one's different than usual. The guitar player, Robert Hoppe, wrote the original guitar piece, and his lyrics were really weak. Sorry, Bob. And so I said, why don't you let me...
Bob's like, come on. He's watching on YouTube right now, come what?
So I said, why don't you let me see if I can write some new words to it.
Mm-hmm. Did you do the tune and everything?
The original song was a lot different. I was in a band called Victoria Park in the early 90s, mm-hmm. which was an original touring band. Mm-hmm. And that was one of our songs then, but if you were to hear the other version, it's a lot different. Mm-hmm. This is at halftime. Give it more somber feel.
Cool. Very nice. So you just took it, revitalized it,
Yeah.
made it yours,
Yeah.
did the thing.
Yeah, that was one of those bands where we did all this touring to raise money to make our second record, and by the time we did the touring, had the record recorded, ready to put out, we couldn't stand each other anymore.
Bummer. I know how that goes. It's very unfortunate to have put all that time in, and then just
so it was
the big
done.
moment comes and then it doesn't,
So the very first record I put out in 2003, I think, I just took all those songs that were mine and published them. Mm-hmm. The other songs, died.
Yeah, leave them where they were. That's really cool. So this record so far that we've been listening to, we'll be listening to another one for the third song afterwards. It's more like folk Americana kind of stuff from what I'm gathering.
I would go with that.
Mm-hmm. Is that the stuff you've always played then?
It's the stuff I've always written.
Okay, cool. You grew up on it and all that?
Yeah, when I was like 10, 11, formative years, people on my dad's side of the family are all musical. Mm-hmm. So for Christmas, I'd get like Jackson Browne and Joni Mitchell albums.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And they would always point out how profound a line of lyrics were. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of really formed, when I'm writing a song, I want it to appeal to a lot of people and not have it be shallow of the times. I don't know if that's the word.
Like cheesy, maybe?
We'll go with cheesy.
Yeah,
you won't find really any cheesy songs on my records.
Yeah, and you take the time to make it individual, and I think that's what kind of takes the cheesiness out of it. It's still general and
Sure.
relatable for everybody, but I think it's just easy to throw out, those commonly used metaphors.
Yeah, you won't find any we got in my car and went to the bar songs on my records.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
I try to make every line count. Try to stay above the shallowness. Mm-hmm. Give my shallowness a little depth.
Yeah, I think it's important, and you can really tell when people they put effort into every line, every little rhyme, the story, everything, it ends up painting a lot better of a picture, it really puts you into it, and then when you have the music going along with it that kind of coincides with that, it's just good music.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I had said earlier, about 99% of the time I play alone, so I always try to write my songs to where the guitar piece can stand alone. Mm-hmm. You won't find a lot of GCD songs.
That's cool.
Maybe if you tear them apart and study them, it is still G, C, and D.
Right,
but it's not.
You're doing your stuff in there too, though. That's what I've been working on lately. Is I'm an electric guitar player, but for acoustic, you do want to sound good alone. So figuring out how to do the melodies while you're doing chord changes and stuff, it's a lot of work to kind of figure it out. You have to be pretty particular with how you place yourself. So that's very respectable. Thanks for taking the time to do that.
Yeah. Every note counts.
Yep, absolutely.
And too many notes is too much.
That's right. So, were you always involved with music from a young age? I know you said one side of your family had always been doing it. So, were there instruments around the house?
My dad himself was not a musician. Mm-hmm. He's a good singer, and he has good taste in music. But his brothers and sisters are all into music. Mm-hmm. So I think I was probably about 10 when I got my first guitar. Mm-hmm. 12 started studying. Mm-hmm. For as long as I've been playing, I should be a lot better.
I think that's how all of us feel,
So I made it a point to surround myself in music. Mm-hmm. I would go visit his brothers and sisters, and mm-hmm. my Aunt Sandy's really the catalyst for me wanting to do this.
That's cool. So she was a player then?
She still plays.
That's awesome.
She's got to be 65, maybe, mm-hmm. maybe even a little older. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. She hosts the open mic in Newego every Thursday, and
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
She had a real popular band down in North Carolina called Mother Soul with her 2 daughters.
That's great.
One's in Toronto now with pretty successful solo career. And Marquita, the one that you heard doing backups on all my stuff.
Okay.
She does dueling pianos. And she was doing it in Lansing, but I think she's playing by herself now, just piano, vocal, doing the 3-hour bar gigs.
Yep.
She's good though. She's one of those people that can take the hecklers, and no matter what they request, she can throw it out there.
Figure out how to make them happy. That's cool. So you think being around those people really helped? Do you think if they weren't around, you would be into music like you are now or have been? Because that's one of the things I wonder about, how much of an influence is having instruments around the house, or family who does it, or people in the neighborhood who are consistent enough with it to inspire somebody else to do the same.
That's a good thought. I think I would have definitely been creative person. That's how I'm wired. But I don't know if I would have been a musician if it wasn't for the musicians in the family. There's a lot of painters in our family, artists, book writers. So it might have manifested itself in a different way.
Yeah, but that's cool. It's just interesting. So
cool. So now I find myself where I haven't focused in on one thing. I do a bunch of things.
That's nice too. The jack of all trades thing, very nice.
That's how you float around mediocrity too, though.
I can dig it. No, for sure. Yep. No, that's just us being insecure.
Yeah. I think with being an artist, there's that line where on this side you're you believe in yourself and almost maybe a hint of arrogance or narcissism. And then on the other side, it's just crushing self-doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And kind of finding where those two meet is the golden spot.
I think they sit right here and they battle it out, just like little demons.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Can we splice in some little...
Take them off my shoulder.
Cool. Well, let's get to this last song then.
Sounds good.
I got it written down over here. It's Goodbye off of Broken Circles and Other Tribes.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. So that's a really interesting album name, for sure. How did you come up with that?
Well, like I said, I've been around a while.
Yeah.
And you'll experience it as you get older, too. You'll go through life, and this will be your circle of friends, and this will be the things that you do. And then a decade goes by, and all that's gone. All those people that you hung out with, all those things you did, it's gone. And now you have this new group of friends, and you're like, oh, this is the group of friends I'm going to have till I'm dead.
Yep.
Another decade goes by, and it's
changes. Yeah.
It's all gone.
It's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out.
So that's exactly where that title came from.
Right on. And is that it's not a concept album, but the concept for the album is just those kind of different experiences?
I would say so.
That's cool.
As time goes by, you just look at life so much differently. And this last song called Goodbye, it's about how some of those friendships or relationships dissolved and you never even did say goodbye. People that you thought you would see all along, then somebody dies and you haven't talked to them in 2 years, 3 years, 8 years.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit about that.
That's really interesting. Cool. Well, we'll get down to it then. This is Goodbye by Christopher Cordle. Blue, take it away.
Though we may never pass this way again, things will never be the same as when we were younger than today. Still the one thing I could never say goodbye. again in the same light. You once held it when our hearts were younger, long before the rain. Still the one thing I could never change. Goodbye. No, not I. We lived each day like it would never end, running headstrong into the wind. Times get tough when it comes down to dealing friends. Where does it end? Pass this way again, and things can never be the same as when we're growing older. My time ticks away, is the one thing I had left to say goodbye. And I was wrong, and I'm sorry for goodbye. I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.
You are tuned in to the hippest radio station in the Tri-Cities area. This is Walk the Beat Radio on 103.5 WAWL. If you're just joining us, I'm your host for today, Elijah Russ, and I'm here with Christopher Cordle, who has brought us some awesome tunes for today. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Very
It's
much.
been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's good to have met you. You know, like I said, I've heard your name around, but life is busy.
It is.
It's hard to check things out sometimes.
Well, you're looking to run away, though, aren't you?
Berklee College of Music in Boston. I have my audition at the end of the month, so we'll see how that goes. I'm kind
That's
of
awesome.
nervous. I'm very nervous, but it should be very good. So I have a few people to thank before we sign off for today. To our underwriters, Big Signs, Ricinga Building Center, DeBoer Bauman and Company, and Quality Hardwood Floor Installation. Thank you guys very much. David Darling for doing our video as always. It's a fantastic job. Blue Van Dyke for doing our audio. Shout out to Dave Palmer for being out of town right now. We'll see you when you get back. Hope you're having a good time. We're taking care of business at home here. Thank you, Bill Chrysler, for letting us use your space. This is Third Coast Recording Company. It's an awesome space. Well, thanks for tuning in, and remember, everybody, listen local.
The Walk the Beat radio show is recorded in Grand Haven, Michigan. Production and engineering provided by Blue Van Dyke. Featuring your host, Dave Palmer.